Hi there. Welcome to Office Hours. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Before we get started, though, do you mind hitting that subscribe button? It'll help us keep having amazing conversations across travel, entrepreneurship, marketing, and business. Thank you again for listening, and I'm so excited to share today's episode of Office Hours. I realized that I ran my startup wrong for the last 3 years. My name is Grace, if you're not familiar with me, and I'm the founder and CEO of Lucia, which just recently sold to a company called Tern. And now that I've been working within this company for 60 days, I realized that I have been doing so many things wrong at Lucia that I wish I could have done differently. And I'm going to share them with you. One of the first things that I realized in working in Tern is that in the first week, we needed to create this webinar and announce the Series A launch of the business. And the Facebook group, no joke, the Facebook group of Tern is the reason that we got over 3,000 registrations for this webinar. 3,000 just from a Facebook group. And that was the moment I realized that community is more valuable than any other marketing you'll ever do. When I was working on building Lucia, I had leaned into the fact that we were a network-based company. We had to connect business owners with freelancers, and they would work together, and we'd make money off of that work. I was so nervous about the business not benefiting from these freelancers and business owners being in the same community that it held me back from leaning into that aspect of the business, arguably the most important part. As a result, we lost out on one of the largest aspects of the business that we could have been benefiting from, the community. In contrast, Tern has been a startup for about the same period of time. They have thousands of people, not just users, but people in their Facebook group, whether they're users or not, that engage and talk to the engineering team, the product team, with each other. They give feedback on the product. They let us know where they have questions or concerns. And it is an iterative community that's literally posting dozens of times a day. There is zero promotion going on in this Facebook group unless it's something educational or value adding. And it is one of the most unbelievable value cycles that I've ever seen. It is something that I absolutely should have created and taken advantage of while building Lucia. And it's one of my biggest regrets after just coming into this company and seeing how truly impactful having an engaged community can be. The Facebook group, while it has thousands of users and people that are iterating and things like that, you also have the entire team engaged as well. From engineering to product, customer support, everyone's in there. Everyone's engaging and talking to users. And it's become an iterative process, not just for the business at large and its brand, but also for the actual product itself. And it's driven a huge amount of their product decisions, something that, again, we could have benefited from. We also did a lot of webinars and did marketing through webinars through Lucia. And it takes one post in Tern's Facebook group to get a similar number of registrations that would otherwise take us hours of work and multiple email sequences or reaching out cold to potential users. Their webinars are not just, again, users. There's also people that are curious and interested and they get invited by their friends, etc. It is one of the most unbelievable aha moments that I'm truly mad at myself about because I was just scared of the community. I was scared of bad product market fit. I was scared of not getting the feedback I wanted. I was scared of people going off platform and us not making money off of it. But as a result, it hindered us from growing faster. If we had not worried so much about the leaky bucket at the bottom, we could have figured that later on and fixed that later on. But I would have done it differently had I have the chance to do it again. So how do you do that right? How do you build community? I wasn't around for the building of Tern's Facebook group. And to be honest, I don't actually know the story of how they built it. My guess is David created a Facebook group and started inviting people, and probably slowly but surely, people started posting or asking questions. But I think, and my hunch, and one of the reasons why it's so engaging is I had a few evangelizers, amazing ambassadors. Shout out to Chloe and Jennifer being just some of the most engaging ambassadors Tern has, inviting their friends, hosting webinars, just as users. And the other side of that being that the Tern team was engaged in the Facebook group constantly, and they still are. 40 people deep in this company, and they're all engaging in this Facebook group, and it's electric, truly. That is one of my first big takeaways and one of the biggest misses that I think I made while building Lucia. My next big learning is that I treated AI like a fancy typewriter. I fed our landing page to Claude recently and asked why it wasn't converting. Now, I'm just starting to look at the Tern website now that I'm building up their marketing arm. So I asked Claude why their landing page wasn't converting. 30 seconds later, it identified the exact psychological friction point that probably would have taken us weeks to find, more weeks to fix, and multiple iterations of copy to ensure we were hitting on the right ICP, the right psychology, the right conversion metrics, etc. We went in not just on the copy, but also on the structure, the look, the flow, the storytelling, the psychology behind it, and even brought in metrics. We even took in sales calls and the objections that were being brought up in our sales team's recorded conversations and uploaded that as well and iterated on that based on that feedback. This entire process, because we had the recordings, because we had all this feedback from users, took me no more than 3 hours of iteration, which would have taken us weeks of A/B testing previously. To be honest with you, after 30 minutes, that could have been done, but I just got excited and kept iterating. So it took me 2 hours. The deeper realization that I had is that I was treating it like a copy iteration tool instead of a workflow, a psychology, a sales conversion tool, all of these different tools that you need to think about as a marketer, a salesperson, a founder, it doesn't matter. You need to think about all these different aspects of the business. And I didn't even treat my AI companion like a true employee. One of the things that David has pushed on the company, which is so brilliant, is that instead of trying to hire additional people, how can you hire your AI agents? How can you train them better instead of spending more time hiring people? How can you really spend that time into building AI that's going to benefit you? Because it's going to iterate faster, it's going to work overnight, it's going to give you and learn over time much quicker than a human. Don't get me wrong, the business is working with some incredible humans, but this is what we mean when we talk about scaling and being on the front end of technology and marketing and business. Unbelievable. Truly unbelievable what it can do. I'm not going to go in more depth here because we're going to actually bring on Gal and a few other experts. They're going to go way more in depth than I am. So stay tuned for that episode as well. And my last learning that I want to share with you guys was that wearing all of the hats at Lucia ended up being a procrastination tool. I used to brag about doing everything myself. It felt like a badge of honor. Marketing, HR, payroll, customer support. I was the queen of cutting burn. And the real truth is that I was hiding behind not busy work. It was all genuine deep work. But I was hiding behind all of the different facets of the business that needed to build instead of focusing on the one thing that was going to actually move the needle. We needed all of those other aspects of the business to grow. Don't get me wrong. But marketing should have been my forefront focus all of the time. And at the time, I thought I was doing the right thing. And I thought I was putting enough time into marketing. And now, even just having a month here building Tern's marketing arm, I realize how much deeper I've gotten to go in just such a short period of time because I'm just focusing and going truly deep on this one thing. There were weeks where I would end up spending hours on payroll questions, hours on the marketing strategy. There were so many elements that I spent too much time on, and I could have just been focusing on building out what the main pain point was at the time that would have really moved the needle. And now I have one job, marketing, and the focus is truly intoxicating. It's one of the most energized feelings I've had in a while. And my takeaway from this for founders, for marketers, marketing should never be the thing that waits. Obviously, you need product market fit, but marketing should never be the thing that waits. Build your community now. You're still focusing on product market fit, that's fine. Build out your product, that's completely okay. You can still build a community, and once you have that product market fit, build out your marketing, lean into it, double down, and just realize that you can get 10 times better if you focus and truly dive deep on that marketing. I'm only a little bit of time into this business, but I have a few takeaways and calls to action for you guys because I wish I could have learned this at the beginning of Lucia, at the beginning of building this business. And so I'm going to share it with you here now. I shared you those 3 learnings, but here are the main things that I want you to focus on. This week, I want you to pick one of these 3 areas: community, AI learning, or diving deep into one category. Do not wait to learn these lessons. Try to dig in deep into one of these categories and email me what happened. I'm betting that you will have your oh my goodness moment, and you will have takeaways that you really genuinely probably should have learned a while ago, because I know I should have. I am very much still learning. I think that's the point. I'm going to keep learning. That's what's so exciting about continuing to work in the startup world. It's why I didn't just take a sabbatical and go travel for a few months. I'm intoxicated by the learning and the challenge, but I still don't wish that I had taken so much time stumbling over myself to figure these things out. So take this episode as a transition point, going from the Lucia Grace to the Grace that's now building the marketing arm for a B2B SaaS Series A startup. And I hope this will be a really exciting journey for the both of us. As always, thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Office Hours.